If you know this channel, then you're more than likely familiar with the story of King Von. You know, I did the whole documentary on King Von being rap's first serial killer, and even to this day, people debate endlessly about whether or not King Von actually qualifies as a serial killer. Now, look, I've said my piece on that, okay? 16 million views later, I still stand on it. I feel like he meets the FBI's definition of a serial killer. And to me, all right, the alleged orchestration of the murder of FBG Duck after he was a millionaire, after he had gotten out of the gang war, he isn't alive to face trial for it. It's been said a bunch publicly that King Von would have faced charges for the FBG Duck murder if he was still here. I think that King Von was somebody that killed for sport. Yeah, he killed in the gang war, but he was killing for, he tweeted himself, me and T-Roy, we kill for fun, we murder for fun. Okay, and even after he was a millionaire, he wasn't no gang assassin. He wasn't taking hits for money. All right, he actually had a bloodlust for killing. Okay, he wanted to kill people. He wanted to set them up. I honestly think that if King Von had the chance, he would have killed Quando Rondo. But that's a whole other story. Today, I want to talk to you guys about this theory that the murder of King Von was set up. Now, there's a whole bunch of different theories about this, and there's one particular video that I want to react to in this video, just to get kind of a few different opinions. I've been waiting to watch this video. I wanted to react to this with you guys, and just to be completely honest, there's a whole bunch of different theories about King Von being set up. Now, some of the more crazed, outrageous, outlandish theories on King Von being set up suggest that really what was going on was that, you know, King Von, I mean, look, some people think that King Von was totally set up. They think 100K Track was working for the police. They think that the police was waiting there outside for King Von. You know what I mean? They think that we saw, you know, what was it? OTF Vonnie's father allegedly saying that they had met with Lil Tim and Vonyie months before, and they'd paid a contract killing to Lil Tim to kill King Von to get him out of the way, and that Lil Durk was mad that he wasn't included in that recording contract. I don't believe that. I think all of that's cap. But what I do believe is, I think personally, is my personal opinion, okay, I don't think King Von being in that parking lot with Quando Rondo was an accident, okay? I don't think that they just ran into each other randomly. Okay, a lot of things don't make sense, all right? They said King Von was on ecstasy. The toxicology report said that he had ecstasy in his system, but he was apparently copping asleep in the back of the car, and then someone woke him up and said Quando's there, and it just all popped off. Now, look, okay, I don't condone any drug taking, but ecstasy, you ain't getting no sleep, all right? All my tweakers confirm that with me. I'll just leave it at that, okay? But that don't make sense. All right, he left the club abruptly. They were meant to be going to the Airbnb. Suddenly he rerouted. I personally, look, if anyone ever hacks Quando Rondo's phone or King Von's phone and gets them DMs, this is my personal belief that that was a pre-planned meetup. I think Quando probably didn't realize that it was smoke on that level. It was probably some, all right, let me talk to you type thing. And look, when a gangster rapper, when a tough guy says, hey, let's meet up to talk, there's a little bit of underlying animosity there. You know that's finna be a setup. But some people, they stand on business. They say, no, I'm pulling up. We're going to talk it out. Okay? I don't necessarily think that Lil Tim was planning, we're going to assassinate King Von for Youngboy in this 4K Trey beef. I think he was just a trained shooter that was ready to roll at any time. If you know his history in Savannah, Georgia, you know that he's a serious guy. But I think there's more to the story, man. I think there was some kind of pre-planned meet. It ended up going left. I think King Von was trying to set up Quando Rondo, quite frankly. We know all of his guys had guns on him that day. But there's a video that I want to look into today. I've been waiting to watch this video with you guys on stream. And shout out to this channel, Trap University, okay? This is a channel that I've been rocking with for a while. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes. I'm subscribed on my main channel. I'm subscribed on my second channel. We're on the second channel right now. I'm double subscribed to Trap University. So shout out to him. I really enjoy his content. He does a lot of quick update videos on the really interesting stuff that's going on out here in these streets. He touches on a lot of other gangs, the cartels, internationals. He's even got videos about the violence going on in Dubai. There's violence going on in Dubai behind the scenes, man, and he be breaking it all down. And I really appreciate what he does on his channel. And I know that he's got a history actually coming up in Chicago and living around some of the communities where this type of stuff is going down. So always salute to him. Salute to anybody that really came out of those situations. I don't claim to be nothing I'm not, all right? I'm from Bognor Regis. Ain't no gang banging going on in Bognor Regis, okay? You know, we bang Legoland. You know what I'm saying? L's up for them hitters. If you know Bognor Regis, straight, you know what I'm saying? We straight Legoland, all of that stuff. You can go and watch my video reacting to the first and only hood vlog in Bognor Regis. But look, I don't claim to be from these streets, all right? Trap University, he's explained in some of his videos that he's grown up around, you know, real situations. Fortunately, he's got this YouTube channel going. He's probably got other things going on in his life. I really respect what he does. I really like his channel. And he dropped this video a little while ago, and I've been waiting to get onto a video to actually react to this because I know this is going to be content that's right up my street. I already saw in the comments they debating to the end of the earth about if he really is a serial killer. He's not a serial killer. He was just a hitter. Nah, he really fits the definition of a serial killer. He literally is, by the literal, actual... Anyway, we done that debate to death. All right, but I want to watch this video today and listen to some of these theories that Trap University's putting out. I really like this channel. I want to give him some shine. Shout out to him. And let's get into it, man. Let's see what he has to say about the setup of King Von, because I know he comes with a lot of facts, a lot of good research, a lot of good theories, and real perspective from, you know, growing up in communities where real things are going on, man. So shout out to him. We're going to check it out today. Let's see what he's got to say.
How is it that when a celebrity gets shot in front of his armed security, the security doesn't fire back? Why did King Von, at the last minute, decide to go to the lounge he would eventually be killed at when it wasn't part of the original plan? Why was the man he attacked seemingly caught off guard despite walking right past King Von's entourage? And did NBA Youngboy really tell Von that when he killed him, he would show the world his body?
Hey, ask about YB.
You talking about the voice message that YB sent?
Oh, yeah.
The man said, "When I kill you, I'm gonna show the world your body. When I kill you, I'm gonna show the world." I said,
Man, I ain't even seen that before. What the helly? What the helly? Okay, this is somebody saying secondhand. All right, I need to hear that real voice note. But bro just said, Youngboy sent a voice note to Von saying, "When I kill you, I'm gonna show you world your body." What the helly?
Man, that's a nigga Youngboy.
Now, for the past 5 years, the question of what happened to King Von seemed pretty cut and dry. Rappers die all the time, and this event happened to be caught on camera, and it seemed pretty clear. He punched a man in a stand your ground state, and he lost his life for it. Von had made a statement, as well as people in his entourage, that he wasn't cool with NBA Youngboy or any of his associates. So how did Von and Youngboy's associate end up at the same hookah lounge on the same night at the same time? One group had just come from a nightclub, and the other group had just come from a video shoot. Could it have really been a coincidence that they crossed paths? I'm sure, as many of you have seen recently, Vonyie, a very strange associate of the whole OTF camp, his father has recently come out with several allegations, all after a leaked phone call where Vonyie was seemingly admitting that he was going to take a plea deal and make sure that he got less time than Lil Durk and the other guys on the Lil Pad murder from Beverly Hills. Now, Vonnie's father has made some very heinous accusations, but the fact that it comes from his own father, I can't just dismiss it as all lies, especially since he himself explains that the main factor behind him airing out all of this business is money, which, although petty, is very believable. Vonyie, a man from Detroit, whose only connection...
Before we go any further, right, I just want to point something out, and I said this already, yeah, but I just feel like this is such an interesting fact. When it comes to the setup theory, part of me believes Vonnie's father when he says we done met with Quando and Lil Tim and gave them a bag months before the murder. Now, I could not possibly believe that they was paying for that murder, no murder for hire, and that they was doing murder for hire on Von because Durk was jealous that Von had the motion and that Durk hadn't got him in a contract. I don't believe that. But what I could believe is that there was maybe a verse. Maybe they were trying to get Quando on a song, because Quando and Von were cool. They'd been seen together. We'd seen that clip a million times of them backstage. He's got Quando saying F63rd. I could believe that Von and Vonyie in that camp was trying to buy a feature from Quando. Maybe they went and gave him some money. Maybe that wasn't delivered. We saw the famous tweets from King Von saying, "Youngboy, you holding that stuff close to your chest? Drop that stuff." All right? I don't know whether they popped up to... Maybe they were paying for that Youngboy feature, because deep down Von wanted that Youngboy feature. Okay, and look, there's a whole alternative theory as to why Youngboy and Von were beefing, and you're gonna see a little bit more about this when the 600 Breezy interview drops. All right, and Breezy's not talking about this incident at all, but Remo's come in with some crazy theories that actually King Von and Youngboy were messing with the same girl who went by the name of, I believe, Lil Blue or something like that, and the whole Jania thing and the whole Asian doll thing was all a spin-off from this disagreement that Von and Youngboy had over this girl. And Remo, he's been putting this theory out there, okay? No stranger to putting that theory out there. But we done seen King Von's sister Kayla B duking it out with Lil Blue. They had a fist fight. Damn near going on King Von's birthday. You couldn't make this up, okay? They had a fist fight, I think it was a year ago, on Von's birthday. Let me pull it up. So look, you see, I can't show you this on YouTube, all right? But look, you see this going around. You can go and do your own research. King Von's sister Kayla B fights NBA YoungBoy ex-girlfriend Lil Blue at a nightclub. Okay, if you look at the date on this fight when this was going around, okay, let me take this off the screen so I can check the date without accidentally broadcasting a fight. Okay, I can't show you that. Okay, okay, how can I show you this without showing you this? This thing's crazy, man. This thing's crazy. All right, look, I can't show you the fight, right? But this was August 8th, 2024. Now, King Von's birthday is August 9th. So this was the night before. I don't know if it was maybe a midnight party. This isn't the fight. The fight is in the previous slide, but I can't show you that on YouTube, okay? But this all going on the day before, the night before King Von's birthday, okay? Tensions are high. And there's all these kind of rumors that she was involved. There's other stuff too, all right? There's apparently a bunch of DMs and messages that went back and forth between a woman named Blue and King Von's sister getting into a viral argument. People saying Offset sent hush money to one of them. Now, look, this is crazy. Look, we ain't going to go. I could break this all down for you in another video, right? But there's a whole bunch of messages going back and forth between these two. Okay. And look, I could believe that the whole thing started over a female. It seemed like females were involved from the very start to the finish, whether you want to do YoungBoy's baby mama, Jania, Asian doll ending up at YoungBoy's house, all that kind of crazy stuff. Okay. But all of these things make me believe some kind of setup could be true in the sense that maybe there was a verse that was paid for and it wasn't delivered. Maybe it was to do with a female. But there ain't no way they ran into each other like that randomly. It was crazy. But anyway, let's keep going with the video.
With these gang members out of Chicago is that his father was close friends with King Von's father. But Von's father has been dead since 2005, nearly 20 years before Von died. But for some reason, Vonyie had weaseled his way in between two of the biggest artists coming into 2020. He's seen in several videos carrying the money and making big purchases for both Lil Durk and King Von, a man who's not even from Chicago. And in the immediate aftermath of Von's death, several allegations came out that people close to him were stealing from him, such as security footage showing men seemingly running from his home carrying items that they didn't come in with, and then there was talk of money missing out of the safety deposit boxes. And Vonyie's father claims that at least the safety deposit box was his son's doing. Now, Vonyie's father claims that Lil Tim, the man who was credited with shooting King Von after he attacked Wando Rondo, was paid months before the incident even took place.
That's the thing where I personally believe that and this could all be cap, but if it's not cap and there was actually some truth to them meeting up months before this went down, I personally believe they were buying a verse. I personally believe they were doing music business because the father says in one of his wild rants, he says something along the lines that if I knew they were setting up Von, I would have killed my own son. Now, that's just insane. I don't even believe that. But, all right, but I could believe that they met up and gave some money. They in the industry. They was cool with Quando. At that point in time, who knows if this girlfriend, but, you know, ex-girlfriend, whatever drama theory is true. But I could believe that they went and bought a verse and it wasn't delivered and that led to violence.
But is he telling the truth? He claims that his son is the reason for the entire hookah lounge incident where Von attacked Wando Rondo and ended up getting shot. Just based on how the people around Von spoke of him, it appears that Von was a very predictable guy. Even before he was a superstar in Chicago, it was pretty much known that if he said he was going to do something to you when he caught you, that's exactly what was going to happen.
Man. Look, listen, man. If you want to go by King Von's tweets, he damn near really did all that stuff that he said in his tweets. He said, me and T-Roy, we murder for fun. He said it. Okay? The murders would happen and he would be tweeting about it right after. Okay, that is what it is. All right, we can't ignore that. Okay, we can't pretend that stuff wasn't going on. King Von was broadcasting what he was really doing, and he seemingly really backed up with his tweets with actions and vice versa.
And he made it clear, as well as an associate of his, Lil Reese, that when he caught Quando Rondo, something was going to happen. The plan after they left the first club was for everybody to go back to the Airbnb they had in Atlanta. But of course, that's not what happened. Vonnie's father is somehow insinuating that Vonyie is the reason that Von rerouted his caravan to the Monaco Hookah Lounge. So, just looking at it from the perspective of somebody that was trying to set up a murder. Now, knowing that Georgia is a stand your ground state, and Von being a hothead, having him pull up to the location of someone that he says he's going to attack when he sees them, seems like the perfect bait to get him shot. But what would have been the reason for anyone wanting Von dead? The first person that was blamed in any kind of conspiracy for this was Lil Durk, who, at the time, was not legally allowed to be around King Von due to a case that they had involving an attempted murder and a robbery. And mysteriously, Lil Durk seemed to go live at the same time that King Von was getting shot. Now, I've seen at least one guy, King AK-47, say that this looked like something that was going to establish an alibi. Now, the question is, why did Lil Durk have Vonyie around him?
That is actually a crazy theory. I'm not saying I believe the theory, because a lot of people saw that live of Lil Durk. He went live around the time of King Von's death. A lot of people said that it looked like he found out from the comments for the first time that that's when it went down. Now, look, I think Saying that's an alibi is just crazy. He went live after Duck's murder on a private jet. I mean, who knows? You could be saying alibi. Who knows? All right, allegedly, in my opinion, all of that stuff. But I do think he knew more of what was going on. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if Durk was in communication with Von, because we know that they were meeting up when they weren't supposed to be meeting. That picture, all right, this famous picture from Lil Durk's album cover, all right, the voice, okay, all right. The Voice album cover was allegedly a photograph that was taken of Lil Durk and King Von together during the period of time that they were not supposed to be associating with each other. After King Von passed away, this is the first project that Durk dropped, all right, after King Von's death. He jumped out the window, he said, fuck it, here's a picture of us both together when we shouldn't have been together. I think from the jewelry and the dreads and everything that they both got going on in this picture, this definitely was taken when King Von was lit. King Von, I can't before that shooting, before King Von King Von was having emotion at the start of 2019. That shooting happened in February 2019, and they didn't get charged with it for several months. I think it was July or August that they ended up all getting charged with it, along with Bezu, and another guy passed away before they could charge him. King Von looking fly as hell. He looking clean. He got the big boy O block chain. You know what I'm saying? That definitely came later. All right. This was taken. This picture should have never existed. This picture is a crime. Okay. This picture should never have existed. This picture was a crime. And if you ask me, I think that Lil Durk was probably in communication with King Von on some shit where he's like, yeah, we finna catch Quando Rondo. I would not be surprised if Lil Durk went live thinking that he was going to go live, and all the comments, rather than King Von just got shot, RIP King Von, which was what all those comments said, I would not be surprised if Lil Durk thought that he was going to go live and the comments were going to be RIP Quando Rondo, or Quando Rondo just got his ass beat and treated outside the club by King Von. That's what I think. That's my opinion. That's my theory. Okay? But who knows, man? Let's keep going.
For him to get such a prominent position, despite not knowing any of them, it seems like some agreement would have had to be made, especially with Lil Durk, since he was seen carrying money for Lil Durk, and he is the alleged money man on the murder for hire case that Durk is facing right now. So, the events at the Monaco Hookah Lounge. I was completely unaware that Von even had armed security there, because the only 3 people that were reported to have fired.
That approach, I'm sorry, but that approach, the way Quando come in and the way Von come in is 2 completely different things. I feel like this must have been arranged. Quando has said in interviews, I had no idea who that even was when he approached me. I'm not sure I believe that either. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure I believe that. I just don't know if I believe that. But, hey, we listen.
Only 3 people that were reported to have fired back were Louis, Slutty, and BJ.
You ain't going nowhere. I saw them shoot.
Louis and Slutty ended up being shot by undercover cops who were sitting at the scene watching the entire thing, which is also very suspicious. And one of Von's associates...
I said this in an interview the other day. I believe that the feds were watching King Von, and a lot of people said, nah, it was Atlanta State Police that were there. Sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if some Atlanta State Police were tasked with watching what was going on. It was way too perfect. Why were they just happening to be outside this club? All right. And that club was all them people outside. They was looking like Von's people. I was looking like Von's whole crew, whole entourage, whole bunch of people, multiple cars. Why would the police just happen to be camping out there? I think that the police just happened to be camping out there. I've just kicked my camera, but it's all good. I think the police just happened to be camping out there because they was watching Von. We've seen that video of Von at the airport with the bald head ass guy questioning him when he's getting onto a plane. The feds were onto his case, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were waiting. They knew violence was going to pop off.
Be heard telling Von's security, kill him, as if he was wondering why the security guard had done nothing. And Vonyie, who again is not even from Chicago, couldn't have had a close bond with any of them, as out of everything his father said, that is the most likely, that he was only there for money. And being the money man, he would probably know how easy it would be for him to steal money out of King Von's security deposit boxes, as he had probably made several trips to the bank with King Von depositing his money. And regardless of if you believe that King Von was some type of serial killer or not, it's more than likely that he would have been serving 25 to life for something had he still been alive today. And everyone around him knew this. The FBI say he was their lead suspect in a murder from 2014, and as I said, one of Lil Durk's lawyers, said on the Atlanta News that he would be the one charged in the Atlanta case had he still been alive, not Lil Durk. So somebody that wasn't his friend in the first place, and especially someone that was heartless, would have no problem getting him out the way for a quick come up. And the allegation of him being told that when he was killed, they were going to show the world his body just can't be a coincidence.
I need to hear this voice note of Youngboy saying, when I kill you, I'm going to show the world your body. That is actually, I never heard that before. Shout out to Trap University, man. He telling me stuff that I hadn't heard about Von before. And I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm the world's leading King Vonologist. That's crazy.
Only certain people are allowed in a room to take a picture like that. So for someone to jeopardize their job and likely freedom, there had to be some type of money involved.
That's crazy, because obviously, look, the picture of Von's autopsy, or at least a picture of Von after his autopsy, went around the internet. It got leaked. It got posted. Youngboy rapped about it. I heard that they was actually suing. I heard that they were actually suing the morgue or the state or the city over that picture leaking. And I'm sure somebody got fired over that, surely. But that is crazy, man. The idea that Youngboy somehow had pulled strings at the morgue and got a picture of Von's body, and he promised that he would show the world his body afterwards. Now, that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Nobody just did this for fun. Now, I know you guys thought that we were already talking about conspiracy theories, but we still haven't gotten to the actual conspiracy theory pushed by Vonyie's father. Now, in the interviews he did with both Trenches News and DJ Academics, Vonyie's father said two things that, honestly, it's hard to know if he's saying this from what he actually witnessed, or if he's just been reading and watching conspiracy theories and he might think he's connecting the dots himself. But he says that in his talks with King Von, he says that King Von told him that he knew he only had 3 or 4 years to do his music, and he did not fully elaborate on that. But he says that King Von had some type of meeting, and after this meeting, King Von kind of told him that he knew that he had a limited amount of time.
Now look, this is ridiculous, because we'd been known Von being on interviews talking about, yeah, I'm trying to go crazy before the feds come. He knew that he couldn't escape that stuff forever. He knew he was walking around with 7 bodies, eight if you want to count FBG Duck, you know what I'm saying? There was 12 rumored bodies in total, all right? We done debunked a few. I ain't gonna lie, bro, I ain't gonna lie. People been telling me that there's even more bodies King Von had that I ain't even find, all right? And so look, I don't know if that's just a bunch of Reddit nonsense, but that's crazy. That's actually crazy. But he definitely knew he had limited time. He definitely knew the feds were coming. This wasn't a guy who knew... This was a guy who knew his time was limited, but not in the way of, yeah, Durk's going to set me up and I know that there's money. Like, bruh, come on, man. He probably knew that there was a lot of ops. Might not have taken that... Who knows, man? Somebody from Chicago could have lined up King Von if he survived this.
Only did he connect the music industry with Israel, but he also connected NBA Youngboy's involvement with Youngboy's
connecting the music industry with Israel. That's dead. Like we can skip that. That's a bunch of baloney, bro. All the anti-Semitism and stuff. Like once you start layering it on top of that, bro, come on, man, you lost me.
He received from Donald Trump. Now listen, I am always open to a conspiracy theory, and
they're trying to bring Trump
into
it now too, man. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. Look. The conspiracy theory just gets wilder and wilder and wilder, and then it's just like, no, you lost me. You done gone out the window. You jumped the shark.
Testimony from somebody who was around a certain situation. But if I'm being honest, I don't see much of a connection between King Von and NBA Youngboy's pardon. Do I think it was strange that YB was pardoned by the President of the United States, who's likely never even heard of him? Yes, I think that was very strange, and I do think there was some type of agenda behind that pardon. And like I said, the autopsy picture is a very strange thing to come out. Now, I've seen a gang member die and one of his ops with a connection at the hospital have an autopsy picture come out. But that doesn't mean it's something that happens often, and that definitely doesn't mean that it's something that somebody can easily come by. Because you have to be a certain staff member to even get in a room like that. So what would make what Vonyie's father saying true? Well, I know he's not getting paid much to go on these interviews and say the things that he's saying. When he speaks, he genuinely sounds like he's speaking out of remorse and that he's had to sit by and watch something, because he and Von's father were close friends, which is why many people thought that Vonyie was King Von's cousin, but they are in fact not related. So I'm a stand by that there has to be some truth in what Vonyie's father is saying. And I heard the phone call where Vonyie was saying that he wants to get less time than Lil Durk, which is a guy that let him handle millions of dollars. So at the very least, we can prove that Vonyie is a slimy character, and that accusing him of setting up anybody would not be out of the ordinary for him. So in the end, it's clear that King Von didn't just die because he attacked someone in a stand your ground state. A witness on the scene who doesn't have any social media presence, just some random guy that was caught on a police body cam, even said that it looked like a setup.
These motherfuckers just pulled up, jumping out the car. They knew it was set up before they got down.
And although King Von could have avoided this, even said that it looked like a setup.
These motherfuckers just pulled up, jumping out the car.
They pulled up, jumping out the car, shooting. They knew. They were set up before they got down here. Now, is he saying that Quando's crew was set up in that they'd set up shop before King Von's crew came down here? Or were they saying that King Von's crew set up the play? Now, that's not clear, but that is crazy.
And although King Von could have avoided this entire situation himself by not being a hothead, I do believe that somewhere, somebody was pulling strings to make sure things went exactly how they went. But that's all I got for today, man. And I'll see you next time.
Man, look, shout out to Trap University, man. That was a brilliant video. It was a very interesting video. Caught a few things that I'd not heard before, man. But look, to me, I think that it's too coincidental. I think there must have been some communication before that. How did they end up there? That could not have been a coincidence. There's been talk of people didn't know why he wasn't going back to the Airbnb. He should have gone back to the Airbnb, man. He wasn't in his home state. You know, that was Kwando's home state. That was an away game. And went left, man. Absolutely crazy story. No pun intended. But I think there's definitely more to meets the eye than this story. Definitely more than we could possibly comprehend. I think there's more going on behind the scenes, and a lot of people have said the same thing, man. A lot of people have corroborated it. I don't believe any of that Illuminati conspiracy stuff. I think OTF Vonnie's father is a bit of a clown, just shouting a load of nonsense. But this is one of those hip-hop debates that's going to be debated for years, man. I've said it before. I feel like the NBA Youngboy and King Von and Lil Durk and Quando Rondo beef is like the Tupac versus Biggie of this generation, and we might, just like how Keefe D ended up getting charged with Tupac's murder damn near decades later. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a big case, a big RICO. We ended up seeing leaked DMs between Von and Durk and Quando and Youngboy. Who knows, man? But I think one day it'll come to light. One day someone will get their hands on Von's DMs, or we're going to find out eventually. All right? It's hard to suppress the truth forever. But right now, we really don't know. But what do you guys think, man? Shout out to Trap University. Go and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. I find his stuff really interesting. I'm out of here, man. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.